Hey everybody, it's Riddick here, and this is still really loud. I'm gonna turn it down. Is this better? This is probably a bit better. And in the background, we have some Dark Souls remastered gameplay footage from when I played the game a couple months ago. Excuse me for trying and failing so hard to kill good old Havel. But it's really the only thing I could think to put in the background because just having a picture of the IB logo would probably get me screwed over, A, by the IB, and B, it would just be boring. So have a look at me playing Dark Souls. In case you don't know what this is, it's a game known for its immense difficulty and amazing graphics. Or at least amazing art style, maybe not graphics, as well as its revolutionary RPG mechanics and the fact that it tells you absolutely nothing, just like the IB does. Yes, I've heard actually the IB compared many times to Dark Souls. However, from the IB alumni whom I have talked to, the feeling that you get after completing the IB is a bit different to the feeling you get after killing a boss in Dark Souls. Because after killing a boss or an exceptionally difficult NPC or whatever in Dark Souls, you tend to feel a feeling of rush and excitement. However, after the IB, you just tend to feel empty inside, from what I've heard from other people. Now, I'll be honest, I personally have not been having immense trouble with the IB. It's been a bit difficult. It's definitely been harder than the GCSEs. However, I like to think that I'm pretty okay at managing my time. Definitely getting better. The IB's forcing me to get better. And as a result, I haven't noticed that much of a problem. And it says it's like, what do you mean when you say managing your time? Well, for one, I can no longer play video games as much as I'd like to. Maybe 20 to 30 minutes maximum a week. And if you ever see me doing that, I am 100% of the video games I play now are being uploaded on YouTube as like comedy videos or something. Because you know what? That's a great way, in my opinion, to turn what is otherwise a completely unproductive, activity into something that you can share with others, something that takes time and effort to put into. So I'd say at this time, I'm spending around 1 hour a week on my YouTube channel. So that's part A of time management, just cutting out activities that don't matter. And part B is you can't waste time revising. You can't just sit and read a textbook. You got to be solving. You got to be conceptually understanding things. A lot of people will conceptually understand stuff from a textbook, but I like to watch videos. And of course, the number one thing you got to do is just solve questions, because the IB doesn't ask straightforward questions like your SAT math or your SAT math, SAT math, whatever, or your GCSEs do. They always combine multiple topics together in one test just to understand. You have to completely conceptually understand what something is, why it exists, and what its purpose is in order to succeed. That goes for math, physics, chemistry, and even the humanities. You gotta have a great understanding. Humanities, especially English and history, what you say doesn't matter as much as why you've said it, which is quite similar again to GCSE. So it's not too different in that regard. But the entire STEM setup in IB, and I like to consider myself quite a STEM-oriented person, is very different to what we're all used to. So, essentially, to cut 3 minutes worth of ranting into one, I have found the IB quite different to what I'm used to. However, I have not been having a lot of trouble in it. And I have no doubt that when I do the IB, when I finish the IB, regardless of if I get the great score that I want, or if I just simply pass it, I will nevertheless be happy with myself. Of course, aim high, but I'm not going to complain if I get a low score, because as long as I've tried my best, I feel like that's enough for me personally. But I will tell you the problem. And see, the problem is that, okay, first off, all right, let me explain something that I find different between UK universities and US universities. Now, there's the there's the obvious stuff, which is that they have very different styles of teaching and they're in different continents. And US universities tend to be on the more expensive side unless you get scholarships, etc. Which I hope to get. If I don't get into some of the great universities I'm aiming for, I could obviously just go to a public Ivy and get scholarship. It's not a big deal for me. But it is a big deal for a lot of people who are applying to Europe, because IB matters a lot in the UK in terms of admissions. In fact, it's the only thing that matters. Sure, your personal statement or your UCAS statement or something like that. I don't know much about the UK setup, so I can't talk about it that much. But I do know that the personal statement matters. But I know the number one thing that matters in the UK is your grades, whereas in the US they take other things into account, like A, your extracurriculars, B, the difficulty of the courses you're doing, and C, just special circumstances, your socioeconomic background, your school. So, for example, they're not going to penalize you basically for not taking APs in a school which doesn't offer APs. However, if your school is known for offering APs and encouraging students to do them, and you didn't do them, they'll be like, why didn't you access the most valuable why didn't you access the most valuable, the toughest courses available to you? Like, it won't be looked upon well. And at the same time, I definitely think that this is a decent way to do it, but I definitely understand what people say when they say that it isn't 100% fair, because a kid who goes to a school that offers a very easy curriculum with, low amount of deadlines, not regularly examined, etc., and just overall an easier syllabus, if he gets full grades, if he gets the highest grades possible, what is there to differentiate that student with someone who gets, the highest grades possible in IB, for example, 45 points? That's difficult, okay? But here's the main problem, and the best way to start off is with an example. And I really hope the student doesn't mind. In fact, he better not mind, because I'm actually just keeping him anonymous, etc. But I have this student in my standard level math class who was saying that one of the universities he's applying to, and I don't remember, I'm pretty sure it's Europe, in the UK, requires you to get either a 7 in higher level math in IB, or, and here's the thing, a star, or the highest grade, I think it's an A star, in A level math. You're like, okay, fine, they just want the highest grade possible in a math course, right? But no, okay, just no, for numerous reasons, okay? A, HL math is so much more difficult than standard A level math, okay? They're not even asking for a high grade in advanced A level math. If they were asking that, I'd say, okay, they have high requirements. But no, they're asking for a 7 in HL math. And I'll tell you something. My school has had barely any students getting 7s in HL math throughout its history. We have a few students this year who are doing it, but these are all students who are incredibly naturally intelligent. They're not, they're not representative of the general public school population. Allowing in a bunch of extremely intelligent students, etc., and having them get 7s in HL math, that doesn't mean anything. I can't compete with them, and it. And I know that the students who grew up here, the average student sample isn't getting 7s in HL math. However, the average student sample in A-level math would be able to get an A star in A-level math. It's not that difficult. It's in fact even easier than standard level math, which is what I'm currently doing. And so what? We're being penalized for taking IB. That's my problem by UK universities. Is what's the point then of taking IB, especially because UK universities pigeonhole you from the very beginning into taking one subject. You don't go there and try different things. Why are you even taking the IB course with 6 subjects? Right? My friend's brother got into I can't remember, but he got into Oxbridge with 3 A levels and A stars in each of those. Versus people who, he must have done, of course, a lot of work, but did he really do as much work as the people who do 6 IB subjects and get 43, 44, even 45 points? Honestly, I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. Like there's this kid in my school who got into Caltech, which is a United States school, so it doesn't have the same bias to an extent. And he got 45 points in the IB. I think his ACT or SAT or something was literally full marks, the closest thing you could get. It was a 35 ACT or 15, 60 SAT. I don't know how SAT works, but something like that. So my point is basically, if you're applying to the UK, you don't have to stress yourself out with IB. There is literally no reason to do it. Just go do A levels. If you want to do biomedical engineering, why do you have to worry about English literature or foreign language, etc.? Go do biology. Go do I'm guessing you need chemistry and math or something as well for biomedical engineering. Just go do biology, chemistry, math, A-level, maybe advanced math, and do that and get into a good biomedical engineering school in the UK, right? Like what's the point? of doing IB in that point, at that case. So back to that kid who needs either a star in A level math or a 7 in HL math. Well, you know what he's going to do? Because he's doing SL math already, and he's probably going to get a 7. He's even better than I am in SL math. Because he's probably going to get a 7 in that, which is easier than A level math, the other qualification the school asks for. He's going to go and sit the standard A-level test, maybe take 2 months to prepare for it, and I have full faith in him being able to get an A star. But I'm asking, why don't they just accept SL math then? Why do they need HL math? Because SL math is more difficult than standard A-level math is. And that's what I mean. Where is the motivation? Like, had I known what I know now, I would have gone to an A-level school. I tell you that, if I was applying to the UK. I would definitely have, because I honestly don't even think it would have impacted me that much in A-levels. But I'm not the kind of person to go back now and say, oh, what a shame, I should have done this, etc. I've chosen the IB, I'm sticking with it. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And again, I have the and I'll get on to U.S. universities, because I said for U.S. universities doing IB is a bit more forgiving, right? But I'll still get onto that in a bit. So I luckily have the luxury of having parents and being American, of going to an American school. And what's so great about going to an American school? Well, it's because American schools, first off, don't have requirements. You don't have to do HL math to go apply to the U.S. In no school is that a requirement. Typically, they do have loose requirements, such as, all right, you got to have done a standardized test. But for example, some of the schools I'm applying to don't even ask for that, which kind of sucks, because I'm quite proud of my standardized test score. I think standardized tests are a great way to measure a student's ability across curriculums, across courses. And, you might talk about extracurriculars, but I think that the overemphasis on sports and extracurriculars punishes students who have less resources. And, the emphasis on sports is borderline ableist, in my opinion. But one thing I know for sure that a lot of college admissions ask, like I said earlier, is did the student access the course which is the most challenging? So let me just get on to my story. I grew up loving two things, history and science, and those have never wavered. I know people have different, okay, like my interests have never changed. I've never drifted from subject to subject. And I'm not here to say that I'm not going to change my mind in university and find a new interest or something. But what I am going to say is that I don't see it changing because, well, I'm just so, an emphasis on it. And I honestly want to make my choice now. I don't have the time in university to try out different stuff, in my opinion. And I will just say that the entire concept of mechanical engineering sounds so cool to me. Just designing, mechanisms, using Autodesk, using AutoCAD. I even did design technology as a GCSE, in which we did that sort of stuff, and it was my favorite thing ever. And when I found out that mechanical engineering degree that everyone talks about is basically just that combined with calculus and physics, I'm like, that's for me. And then again, I've loved history. I grew up reading the British children's book series, Horrible History, etc. And my IB courses have reflected that. So I'm doing HL history and HL physics. And at the beginning of the year, I was doing HL mathematics. But after my first test, I got a 1. And my HL math teacher told me, don't sweat it. It's not for everyone. I know you worked hard. And I'm curious. I'm like, because I have had my intelligence tested, and without going too into detail, because it's really nobody's business except for mine, I'm not bottlenecked by my intelligence, I'd say, in most courses designed for the average person. Then does that just mean that if I'm trying and if you've seen me work hard, etc., and I still got a 1 out of 7 on that IB test, what does that mean? That just means I'm naturally stupid, doesn't it? But then again, that doesn't match up with what the reality is. So whatever, I dropped to standard level, and on the way I had some chat with some of the admissions officers for schools I'm applying to. And basically what I heard amounted to, I asked them, I'm like, all right, so say you had a student who got a 5 in HL math. Because I'd say if I put all my heart and soul into HL math, maybe I could get a 4 or a 5. Even my teacher conceded that. Say you had a student who got a 4 or a 5 in HL math, and a student who got a 7 in SL math. I don't know if I should have asked a question like that, but I don't care. But yeah, I asked them that. I'm like, which one would you take? And she said, it doesn't matter. They're both great grades. What would be a problem would be if you had a 3 or 4 in one of those math courses. We would definitely look at it then. I'm just saying, but a 4 in HL math is much more impressive than even a 7 in SL math is. So Okay, not much more impressive. It's not worlds of difference apart, but I'd say maybe a 3 or a 4, maybe a 3.5 in HL math is equivalent to a 7 in SL math. So I'm like, if you have this entire thing where you consider the difficulty of the curriculum, then why am I being punished for taking a more difficult curriculum? Because if I was compared with my 4 in HL math, even though that's more impressive than a 7 in SL math, the kid with the 7 in SL math would get in, right? So I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to get more than that score in HL math. I'm just going to take SL math. And now looking back on it, I'm like, but who were they to make that choice for me in terms of grades? I should have taken the more difficult course and put my heart and soul into it and gotten the grade that an average student who, hasn't been invited to the school because of their supreme intelligence has. I had a U.S. admissions counselor at my school tell me I wouldn't be able to handle mechanical engineering because I couldn't do higher level math. What does this mean, right? Because my dad did standard A-level math and he did computer science, which is just as, if not more, mathematically oriented than mechanical, and I might even do civil. I love society. Civil engineering is. What does this even mean when students are doing like standard A-level math and getting full scores and then like going to universities and being very happy? I like my math teacher was telling me okay, it was a U.S. university counselor who said that. He's one of those people who like fetishizes like Harvey Mudd and stuff, so I'm not too worried about what he thinks. But like the math teachers at my school told me you can definitely carry out your engineering dreams with SL math. Don't take HL math if you don't need it. And I'm happy they told me that. They were actually right. Okay. My mom, kids, even she was like, just do HL math. And then when she found out that when she heard the situation and the scenario describing to her, she basically conceded and she was like, just go for the thing that's just maximize, just optimize. And that's what I'm doing by doing SL math, because I can still get into great universities with SL math. Maybe not Ivy Leagues, maybe not MIT equivalent, but I'm not even aiming that high. I'll be happy with public Ivies at this point. And the fact of the matter is, despite all of this nonsense I heard about, American universities preferring IB students and them saying that they prefer IB students, I don't care. It really just seems like A-level was a better choice. Maybe IB students are more likely to get in. Guess why? Because it's the smart kids doing IB. Okay? It's the kids who've broken their heads doing IB, and of course they're going to get in. But if you broke your head doing A-levels, you'd have an even higher chance of getting in. That's why. Oh, man. I can't even think of one thing that I don't regret about taking the IB. I can't even think of one thing that makes me think, oh, thank goodness I took the IB over A-levels. No one thing. It's not even because of the difficulty. Because you know what? I took the IB thinking, I'm going to do something hard. I'm going to do something hard, and I'm going to be recognized for the difficulty of what I did. But that doesn't happen. So what's the point in breaking your head over nothing? There's no point. Go do the easy thing and impress people the same way an IB person is impressing someone having put in 15 times more work. And on the side, go enjoy your extracurriculars. I'm not going to have a social life regardless of whether or not I did the IB, so that's not a factor for me. But I guess for some other people it's a factor. So you can have a better social life too if that's what matters to you. What matters to me is going into a university, and I was thinking, I'll give up some of my useless, unproductive habits, but I've just been doing difficult and still useless and unproductive stuff and not getting recognized for it. So there's no reason to have done the IB. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but ever since I started the IB, I've heard nothing but that sentiment from other people and from IB alumni. All I've heard is, damn, IB's tough. I don't know why I did it. And can I blame the IB for this? I can't blame the IB. I can only blame the universities and the academic society for not recognizing or appreciating the difficulty of IB alumni in giving them a place in their university. That's the only people I can blame. I can't blame the IB because, what are they going to do? I mean, there's a lot of problems with the IB course itself, but I can't blame them for having the IB course, can I? So, it's not like I can blame my school either. I mean, they're one of the best IB schools in the Middle East, and I really, really admire how great they've been at teaching the IB. If it weren't for them, I'd be doing even worse right now in the IB. I mean, all said and done, I'm not doing that bad in the IB. Like I said, I just regret taking it because I don't think it was worth it. But like all said and done, I don't, I don't think the problem's with my school. I don't even think the problem's with my IB. I think the problem is with universities. But the fact that that problem exists means you shouldn't do the IB, unfortunately. So thanks for listening to my concerns. I hope you take something from this, even if you don't agree with what I said, and even if you don't go and do the IB. I definitely can see many reasons why you would do it after listening to this. Maybe you don't agree with what I said. Maybe you're happy with the increased workload, or maybe you're just already doing the IB like I am. And yeah, so things sucks for us IB students. If you want it to suck for you, do it. If you don't want it to suck for you, just think about what I said.